Chapter 8, Decision, the Mastery of Procrastination, the seventh step toward riches. Accurate analysis of over 25,000 men and women who had experienced failure disclosed the fact that lack of decision was near the head of the list of 30 major causes of failure. This is no mere statement of a theory, it is a fact. Procrastination, the opposite of decision, is a common enemy which practically every man must conquer. You will have an opportunity to test your capacity to reach quick and definite decisions when you finish reading this book and are ready to begin putting into action the principles which it describes. Analysis of several hundred people who had accumulated fortunes well beyond the $1 million mark disclosed the fact that every one of them had the habit of reaching decisions promptly and of changing these decisions slowly if and when they were changed. People who failed to accumulate money without exception have the habit of reaching decisions, if at all, very slowly, and of changing these decisions quickly and often. One of Henry Ford's most outstanding qualities is his habit of reaching decisions quickly and definitely and changing them slowly. This quality is so pronounced in Ford that it has given him the reputation of being obstinate. It's this quality which prompted Mr. Ford to continue to manufacture his famous Model T, the world's ugliest car, when all of his advisors and many of the purchasers of the car were urging him to change it. Principle number 16, evidence. Quick, sell me the facts. Whenever I sit down to write an ad, I know that unless I can convince you to believe me, you're not going to log into PayPal and make my bank account grow fatter. That means that my words are responsible for taking you from your present state of belief, disbelief, or ignorance, and convincing you that what I'm selling is worth more than the money in your pocket. Did you ever think of it that way? It's a good context in which to hold your products and services. People buy from you because they believe what you're selling is of greater value than the dollars they need to exchange for it. For example, in my advertising workshop, I say, let's do a little experiment in consumer psychology. I hold up a number 10 envelope with a big question mark printed on it and ask, does anyone have a $20 bill? Several people raise their hands. I choose one person, walk over to her, and ask the following question. If I ask you to trade me your $20 for what's inside this envelope, what is the one question you might want to ask me before making the trade, knowing that once we make the deal, you can't get your money back? Invariably, the participant responds, what's in the envelope? No matter where in the country I deliver the workshop, when I make that offer, participants will always ask the same logical question, what's in the envelope? The pursuit of happiness is not selfish. Many sincere people are deterred from seeking happiness because they feel that it would be selfish or wrong. Unselfishness does not make for happiness. For it not only gets our minds directed outward away from ourselves and our introspection, our faults, sins, troubles, unpleasant thoughts, or pride in our goodness, but it also enables us to express ourselves creatively and fulfill ourselves in helping others. One of the most pleasant thoughts to any human being is the thought that he is needed, that he is important enough and competent enough to help and add to the happiness of some other human being. However, if we make a moral issue out of happiness and conceive of it as something to be earned as a sort of reward for being unselfish, we are very apt to feel guilty about wanting happiness. Happiness comes from being and acting unselfishly. As a natural accompaniment to the being and acting, not as a payoff or prize. Chapter 7, Baby Steps. I remember it like it was yesterday. Sometime near midnight, Joe grabbed my arm and whispered, "I need to tell you something." Back in those days, that sentence was typically followed by, "I'm pregnant." Two simple words that normally had the power to thrill me. But because Joe was already pregnant with number 2, I knew this couldn't be the case. Ella, our second child, would be born in a few months, and we were still getting used to the idea of what life would be like with 2 babies. I flipped the bedside lamp on and sat up so Joanna could tell me what was going on. "I think it's time to close down the shop," she said, her voice matter of fact. I looked over at her in complete disbelief, expecting tears, but she didn't look sad. There was no disappointment that I could read on her face. Still, I knew how hard this must have been for her to actually say out loud. Now, to give you some context, the original Magnolia store we had opened back in 2003 was starting to hum along. Joe was in her element, and she had developed a unique style that attracted many locals. She had built up a solid customer base and had finally found a rhythm that was so fun to watch and support.